What's going on, guys? Welcome back to United View. Hope everyone is doing very well, having a good Thursday afternoon, and a bit of a transfer news update. Short, sharp, sweet as always. I want to talk a little bit about Rasmus Hojlund. Some big developments regarding Manchester United's pursuit of the young Danish striker over this lunchtime, and it regards offers being put on the table, at least discussions between Manchester United and Atalanta for the player. But reportedly, Atalanta, they're not interested in Manchester United's attempts to have a player plus cash deal be put together for the striker. No, they want straight up cash, and they want a lot of it. 100 million euros to be specific. Yes, that translates to 85.5 million pounds for the young striker. This is a story that's coming from The Athletic, specifically Laurie Whitwell, who has written that Manchester United have offered players in part exchange for Rasmus Hojlund during talks with Atalanta, but the Italian club are insisting on a cash payment for the player. Discussions over Hojlund are happening in conjunction with negotiations for Andre Onana, as United try and balance the financial commitments of both to fit in with the club's summer budget, which is around £100 million, which is 131 million euros. So United trying to walk a fine line with getting all of these deals done for what they believe to be fair money, and also money that actually fits within their summer transfer budget. Now, it is in this context, according to Laurie Whitwell from The Athletic, that United floated the idea of swap deals plus money for Rasmus Hojlund. With several players up for sale, separate loans were also suggested. I think this is where the rumours of Amad Diallo going back to Atalanta, or possibly Mason Greenwood possibly being involved in this as well, that's really where those rumours and those reports came from sort of late last week. Now, other players that possibly were floated as make weights, if you will, in this deal with the likes of Fred and Donny van der Beek. They're available for transfer. They both missed United's first pre-season friendly against Leeds in Oslo on Wednesday, as their training loads are being managed, most importantly for the likes of Donny to facilitate his recovery from his season-ending injury last year, but also when it comes to Fred, to ensure that any injury doesn't prevent him from a possible summer transfer as United look to raise funds. Atalanta, though, did not express any interest, according to The Athletic, in the players proposed by United and want the fee to be paid for Hojlund in full. Part exchange deals are notoriously complex to pull off, and they're suggesting that's possibly why Atalanta said no to this. In addition to this, and this is probably the biggest headline out of all of this, Atalanta reportedly, according to Laurie Whitwell, have placed a 100 million euros, which is 85.5 million pounds price, on Rasmus Hojlund's head, which United view as excessive. I agree with that too. What are your thoughts? 100 million euros for Rasmus Hojlund, 20 years old, scored 10 goals in the league last season. I said 100 million euros, 85.5 million pounds.
Bloody hell.
Was my initial reaction to it. And what's your reaction? Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below on that. In terms of other options, because United may have to look to other options now, considering that price point one is just too high, and also they genuinely can't afford it unless a lot of players are sold this summer, and we know historically United don't do that very well. In terms of other options they could be looking for, United have other transfer options in attack, including Frankfurt's Randal Colomwani, and they may move on, according to The Athletic, from Hojlund if a compromise cannot be found. Hojlund, though, for his part, on the players' side of things, is very keen on a move to Manchester United this summer, although Bayern Munich and Paris Saint-Germain are also in the market for a number 9 and could come into the reckoning. It was reported by Fabrizio Romano yesterday that despite Hojlund being Manchester United's top striker target this summer, PSG had also inquired about the player. So if United do walk away, perhaps a move to PSG might be an option for him. But the question then becomes, would they be willing to pay 100 million euros for such an unproven player that's very early on in his career? So the question then becomes, should United walk away? Do you think United should walk away, will walk away? What do you think the next move is? Well, according to Sky Sports News, there's a bit more of a development on this, because according to Sky Sports, Man United continued to negotiate with Atalanta over Rasmus Hojlund, and according to Sky, there does appear to be a willingness from all parties to get a deal done, which is interesting language, of course, because that's the same kind of language that's been used regarding Andre Onana and United's pursuit of the Cameroon goalkeeper, is that everyone involved wants to get the deal done. But you could say, well, of course Atalanta would want a deal to get done because they think they're going to get 100 million euros. If a deal is to be done, surely they have to reduce the asking price. It's been previously stated that United would be willing to go to something like 50 million pounds, something around that. But that's still 35 million pounds away from what Atalanta want from the player. So the question then becomes, should United walk away? Are Atalanta just playing hardball? What do you think the final price will be if indeed United do actually sign Rasmus Hojlund this summer? Or is this a good indication to say, nope, this is too much for a player that isn't proven? Yes, there's potential, but we've got stuff to do. We've got transfers to do. We've got a budget that's tight this summer, and we've got to sell players to buy anyway. We should walk away. According to Sky Sports, they do say United have their valuation and are prepared to walk away from any deal and focus on other options, some of those options we mentioned previously. So, guys, what do you think United should do? What do you think United will do? Let us know your thoughts, because, again, it's absolutely fascinating to know that Atalanta value him at 100 million euros, 85.5 million pounds. Absolutely staggering stuff. Now, I do also want to talk about Anthony Elanga. We spoke about him a little bit this morning, and we heard that Everton were interested in signing the Swedish international winger. We heard that Everton had initial talks with Manchester United over signing him. What we weren't sure about was the price point. Now, I said earlier on this morning that I'd be looking for 20, 25, or at least start at 25 million pounds and work your way down to around 15 to 20. It was reported by the Mirror this morning that United were looking to sell him or valued him between 8 and 10 million, which I thought was absolutely ludicrous when you look at Tahith Chong, a former United player, going to Birmingham for the likes of 4 million pounds. It just goes to show that Anthony Elanga, who is better than that, played in the Champions League, scored in the Champions League, international player, should be worth way more, and it looks like we're closer to the valuation that I had hoped for this morning, because according to Simon Stone from BBC Sport, Everton have made an offer of between 15 to 20 million pounds to sign Manchester United's Anthony Elanga, with the Swedish forward being available for a transfer this summer. Of course, the 21-year-old made his United debut as a teenager in 2021 and has scored 4 goals in 55 appearances for the club, but failed to net in 26 games last season. Elanga reportedly this past January, was actually close to joining Everton, but the move to Goodison Park didn't actually materialise at the time, but Everton do hold a long-standing interest in the player. There are plenty of other clubs interested in Elanga this summer. There's been interest from other clubs within Europe. Germany, it has been rumoured Borussia Dortmund at different points were reportedly interested in the Swedish international. As I said, though, when it comes to a Premier League club bidding for a Premier League player, that takes money, and certainly between 50 to 20 million pounds is certainly a price point that I think United should absolutely consider, particularly when we're going after these other targets, Rasmus Hojlund, Sofian Amrabat. To get those deals done, we need to sell players, and selling Anthony Elanga for £15 million plus £5 million in add-ons, or even £20 million as an initial fee, I think would be a real good bit of business for Manchester United, and certainly would add to our transfer summer budget, which we desperately need to do. If we're going to really, truly strengthen in more areas than just goalkeeper and midfield and get that striker that we need to get, we need to sell, and we need to sell several players. It's also being reported, in addition to BBC, by Sky Sports, that Everton have held these initial talks with Manchester United over the signing of Anthony Elanga, although they haven't mentioned a price point that the BBC have. So, Anthony Elanga, 20 million, 15, 20 million. Are you happy with that? If indeed that does happen, let me know your thoughts about that in the comment section below. So there you go, guys. A bit of a short, sharp, sweet update when it comes to the transfer news. Stay tuned, because you never know. We could be talking about Andre Onana next. I'm out of it. Have a good one. Peace.